Welcome to Wine and Chill, your home for all things millennial adulting. Well, attempted millennial adulting. Finance, fitness, travel, student loans. Speaking of which, today we're gonna talk about student loans, so go grab your wine and let's get into it. You're here because you two owe a shit ton of money to Sallie Mae, Fed Loan, Fed Direct, Mohila. There's a lot of them. We are gonna talk about how I made a plan how to pay off my $300,000 of student loans. I've paid off a good chunk so far, so bear with me. All right. For undergrad, I graduated in 2013 and immediately went to law school right afterwards and graduated law school in 2016. I'm first generation college student, first generation law school grad. My family didn't really have any background or understanding about student loans either to basically knock some sense into my head. So I just kind of ignored them. I was in denial. I just thought, what's the big deal? Nobody else is stressed about it. Why should I stress myself? In 2017, I took a job that I really thought would be awesome in sports, but it didn't pay well. And so at that point, okay, so we're just gonna defer them a little longer. We're gonna pay the minimum. It's totally fine. Eventually, we'll get there. 2018 came, I still ignored them. And in 2019, it was kind of the catalyst of 3 years of ignoring these student loans. I finally sat down with myself and was like, okay, I'm gonna pay them off. How much do I owe? Because crazy enough, most people don't even know what they owe. So first thing you have to do, acknowledge and assess how the heck you got here and write it down. Writing it down really does make the world of a difference. Write out all of your loans. So you're gonna see on mine, I have 22 separate loans. They are in this order from smallest to largest. And then I also wrote down the interest rate. Some of these interest rates are out of hand. 7.21%, $61,000. That's the largest loan I have, and that's from law school. So basically everything all the way up to right here, number 12, these are all from college. I have paid them off. So this is what I borrowed for college, $25,096. Original law school principal was $218,953, which brings the total original amount of money that I borrowed to $244,000.49. You see a lot of people preaching, when you're in college, when you're in graduate school, make those payments on those loans, but they don't exactly explain to you why sometimes, and so you ignore them. Don't ignore them. So if you haven't graduated yet and you're ahead of the game and you're looking at how to repay it now and how to make your plan, that's awesome, amazing. You should pay that now, because basically what happens is while you're still in school, your loans are in forbearance. And the minute that you exit forbearance, it's usually like 4 or 5 months after you graduate, they take that lump sum, so that's this $31,496.63, and they add it to your original principal balance, which then is how I got the $275. So that became my new principal balance, which all of these varying interest rates get compounded based off of their new number. So this is their new number. The original for this one I think is like $800 something. So you can see the interest does make a huge difference. Then you have outstanding interest. So that's all of this interest over time. So far it's $23,135 and 17 cents that I have to pay off, which brings my total amount of interest, the least amount of interest, because this is just gonna grow. If I don't pay this off in the amount of time I want to, this will grow exponentially. So total interest is $54,631.80 of money I did not borrow. I need a drink. And you're gonna see this bar study loan. Basically, to be a barred attorney, you have to take the bar in your respective state, his uniform bar exam. You can take out a bar study loan through Sallie Mae. Don't do it, save up your money. Amount of student loans that I owe when I started my debt-free journey. Woo! $304,680.17 trifling cents. Yeah, it's okay. Don't be like me and let it take 3 years. I didn't do this to 2019, and in 2019 I still didn't pay anything. I was like, oh, okay, I owe that money. All right, I'm gonna sit with it. Sometimes it takes you being like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and then you sitting with it and being like, okay, did you do it? No? Why not? Why didn't you do it? You need to do it. and you have to push yourself. You need to make a tracker. So that wasn't actually my tracker. I finally made a tracker because what gets measured gets managed. So if you don't measure it, how are you supposed to manage it? So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this tracker. This is my student loan tracker. Hey babe, and my boyfriend and my grandpa and my little niece. So yeah, so I took what you originally saw with that ugly Excel spreadsheet and made a student loan repayment plan. So this is the repayment plan. These are all the loans you've seen. And then I did principal balance, interest rate, online loan number. This is easy for keeping track, so that way I know which one I'm paying off, refinance interest rate, and then date paid off. So remember, we started at 304,000 something. I have paid off, as of now, all of college is done. So I'm really excited. And I started this journey this year. On Valentine's Day, I started pre-coronavirus, pandemic, all kind of craziness. So now you've seen my tracker. You need a physical tracker for a few reasons. One is, if it's just on your laptop, unless it was like your background on your laptop, there are easy ways to just hide it from yourself. So you hiding it from yourself is doing yourself a disservice. It's on my fridge, that way it's in my damn face, to be quite honest. Every time I open the fridge, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, gotta pay that, gotta get rid of it. I've heard of people do different things, do like paper chains, because student loans are chains in your life. And basically every time they pay one off, they cut the chain. You could do that. I've seen like people do coloring books they sell now about student loan payoff. There's a bunch of different ways. You need a visual physical tracker so that way you can physically see it. 100% believe in that. I give myself a little gold star like I'm in kindergarten every time I pay one off, because it makes me feel better, to be honest. I'm just like, okay, good, I paid it off, whatever. I get my gold star and keep it moving. So figure out what you want to do. The reason why I have my refinance column, because there's no way that I'm going to keep those interest rates because they're ridiculous. Currently right now, if you have federal loans, everything is at 0% interest, which is awesome. When that ends, I will refinance the rest of them. I'll only have at that point 5 left. So I have what I call my smalls. So I have 1 left of my smalls to pay off, everything under 3K. And then I have my big 6. So I'll have one of my big 6 paid off at the end of this year, and all of my smalls will be paid off by next week, which is great. So yeah, so make a tracker. There are a whole bunch of different ways. Do one that's good for you so you keep track of it. Which brings me to the next point, which you have to pick a repayment strategy. So you saw from the beginning that all of my loans are in amounts of the smallest to largest, which is basically the debt snowball. There are 2 ways, debt snowball or debt avalanche. The avalanche is you pay off everything with the highest interest rate first, and that way you actually save more money. Mathematically, that is correct. With the debt snowball method, I already got so many stars up to this point. Now I've kind of built up a little stamina. Those $20,000 student loans are gonna take 4 to 5 months each to pay off. So it's not gonna completely break my spirit to not get my star while I keep paying it off. The snowball method psychologically has proven to work better for people because you feel like, okay, you're making progress. The debt avalanche method though, however, is mathematically correct. You will pay less money. So just pick which one that's more comfortable for you and ignore whatever anybody else says. It's about you paying it off. And as long as you pay it off, that's all that matters, because they are not paying your bill. You're gonna pay your bill. And it's gonna be painful every time you pay it. You have to write out your budget. I have a monthly and a yearly budget. Basically, I write down everything. I do zero-based budget. I'm gonna move away from that, to be honest. It kind of like freaks me out sometimes, but zero-based basically means every dollar has a home. So there are no unaccounted for dollars in my budget, which also means if something goes wrong, it kind of screws with it a little bit. I'm pretty good about my budget, I would say, particularly since we are in lockdown and there's nothing to do. Definitely budget. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see my budget and how I work, how I've planned that out. I do use the Numbers app, which I find phenomenal. My best friend years ago made a budget and I just like copied hers and adjusted it. It's great. So let me know if you owe a significant amount of student loans. So I'm talking about anything over $30,000 that's going to take you more than a year to pay for it. You should create a separate bank account for a few reasons. One, if you create a separate bank account and you automatically put your direct deposit paycheck into that bank account, you will never see that money. 65% of my paycheck, yes, I did say that, 65% of my paycheck every month goes towards my student loans. It hurts my spirit less because it's in a bank account that only goes towards student loans. So I don't see it. I don't think of it as my money. It's Sally Mae's money. I'm laughing because I want to cry. It'll be nice when I pay this off to finally have my whole paycheck. It automatically goes there. Also with that, if you're gonna open a separate checking account, which I highly suggest you do for your student loans, you should look for checking account bonuses. Type in Google checking account bonuses for the month. They were running a bonus where if you signed up for their checking account and you did direct deposit, you got $400. $400 free dollars. I needed the account anyway and just use that towards my student loans. So highly recommend that. It also makes budgeting easier because there's no thought in it, to be honest. The more you can automate paying your student loans, the easier everything will be, because then it just hurts less. It's just gonna bother you less because you're gonna see it less. That's all it is. Like, this is a 4-year repayment plan. I'm hoping I'm gonna pick up my side hustle game and maybe lessen that to 3 years, but I do owe a lot of money. At this point, I'm at $275. So out of the 3s and into the 2s. But yeah, it's gonna take a decent amount of your time. So the more you automate, the easier it will be for you, and getting the separate checking account and automating a certain percentage of your paycheck to go towards student loans will help a lot. When you get the separate checking account for your student loans, do not get the debit card. Just select no online and do not get the debit card. If they send you the debit card, cut the debit card up, because you can't spend the money if you don't know what the heck the debit card is. Speaking of which, number 6, you should pay your student loans with every single paycheck. You should pay with every paycheck for a few reasons. One, if you are doing the snowball method, it gives you more incentive to pay it down and to give yourself whatever the little coloring, sticker, cut off the debt chain reward is in your physical tracker. Also, if you pay it every single paycheck, you're less likely to spend that money. Hopefully, pay more towards the loans by doing it that way versus waiting every month. Last thing that you really should do, I highly encourage everybody to do it. You should tell your friends, tell your family, tell the special somebody in your life, tell your coworkers, tell whoever, because the more you tell people, the more they will hold you accountable and the less of a stigma there is around student loans. Almost every millennial has student loans, so we have to get out of this habit of, we can't talk about money, it's so uncomfortable. Screw that. Everybody has a student loans. It's a burden on almost everyone's back. You should talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more you'll feel empowered, and the more people will actually hold you accountable to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna pay mine off too. Like my friend and I were both paying ours off, and it makes me feel better to know I have somebody to say, hey, I got myself a star today, which sounds completely crazy out of context. But because she knows that I'm paying them off, I kind of have like an accountability buddy, which is great. Studies have shown if you have an accountability buddy in anything, fitness, your finances, things like that, you'll do better. It helps kind of hedge against when people want to invite you to expensive ass shit. So for context, I'm an attorney. People's assumptions are that attorneys make lots of money. Okay, I make a decent salary now. However, I didn't always, which is why I didn't freaking pay them off. And is it really my salary if 65% of it goes towards student loans? No. So by telling people, hey, this is my priority, this is gonna be the priority, they're less likely to tell you like, oh, hey, let's go do this, that, and the next. You can come up with cheaper alternatives, cheaper things to do with your friends. By inviting people over, you can control the price. You can control the price. You make the food, they bring the wine, they bring the alcohol, okay, cool. Yeah, so tell people. Which brings me to the last point, which is like kind of a bonus point after you get all 7 of those together, is you have to assess what your salary is and do you need to make more money? That's life. You have to adjust, you have to maneuver, but you do have to figure out how the heck to make more money to pay off the loans. And I think it's important, just because you see other people that have higher salaries than you paying off their student loans, that doesn't mean you can't do it with your lower salary. That just means you have to adjust to figure out, okay, how much of my salary can I realistically put away for my student loans? Okay, can I figure out a side hustle? 90% of people can. How do I figure out a side hustle that actually makes money, that's not a time suck? There are a million other things to do, and things like that. If you only take from this video, out of like the 7 things, you only take 3, that's great. That's 3 more things for you to get yourself out of your debt. Because that's the goal. You want to get rid of it. Do not listen to these people, and I know some of these people where they're like, oh no, they're just always gonna be there and I'm just gonna have them, and what, I'm gonna die with them? Let them die with those loans. You don't have to die with them. Get rid of them. I don't know what it feels like, but I'm hoping, we can get on that journey together to knowing what it feels like to being debt free. And when we get there, I'm pretty sure it's gonna feel great. I've seen a lot of people do, their Dave Ramsey debt-free screams, and people on YouTube being like, I paid them off. Listen, they look mighty relaxed. So ignore the naysayers and just take it one step at a time. All right, so I'm Stephanie. Thank you for listening. Let me know in the comments, why don't we all do step 1 together? Let me know how much you owe and what is your goal date for paying it off. I'm gonna do a monthly student loan update, so hopefully we can do this together and we'll get there, one payment at a time. All right, I'm gonna go drink this bottle now.